It's Christmas time, my favorite time of the year. And one of my favorite things to do is making candies and cookies and confections. And today we're going to be making candy using a potato. So stay tuned. Welcome back. I'm so glad you stayed tuned. So you might be thinking, candy made from a potato? I know it sounds odd, but trust me. This dates back to the turn of the 20th century when it was brought over to the United States, and it became very popular in the Depression era because potatoes were affordable and they were plentiful during that time. So people got creative and used the potato for different things. And potato candy has been a tradition for many years now. So, I mean, according to my sources, you can look it up. If you know some more history about using potatoes to make candy and confections, I would love to hear from you. So please let me know in the comments. But right now, this is going to be the base for most of your potato candies. There may be some that are different, but for the ones that I'm making, this is the base. So first you're going to take a large, like a baking style potato, a big large russet. And you want to wash it really good, and we're going to peel it because we don't want the peeling in our candy. Normally if I'm eating a potato, I love to keep the skins on. But for this, I don't want the skins on it. So let's get this potato all peeled up here. Okay, I've got my potato peeled, and then you want to carefully inspect to make sure there's no eyes on there or any dark spots. I'll have to do some more research, but I think in the Depression era, if they peeled a potato, they found use for the potato skins. But I'll have to do some more research. If you know anything about that, I'd love to hear from you. So all we're going to do is just to cut this in quarters. We don't need to dice it in small pieces. So I just cut it in half. Cut that in half. I'm going to cut it in half again. So maybe not quarters. Chunks about that big. Okay, and there's a little dark spot I don't want there. Cut that in half. You don't need to dice it, but it does cook a little bit faster if it's cut in smaller chunks. So I've got some water boiling here, and I'm going to add a teaspoon of sea salt to this water. Let that get to boiling good. And you want to carefully, if you're pre-boiling, if you're adding it in there cold, it's okay, but just to carefully add these potatoes to the hot water. Now I'm going to bring them to a boil. They probably need to boil anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes. You want to get them really good and soft. You want to be able to pierce it with a fork, but you don't want to be able to pick the potato up with the fork, if you know what I mean. So let's get these boiled, and I'll be right back. Okay, my potatoes have been boiling, and I just tested to see if they're ready, and they are. So I'm going to carefully get them out of the boiling water. Try to drain them as much as you can here. A tad bit of water won't hurt, but you don't want a whole lot of water in there. I'm short. I can't really see very well. You could call me Santa's helper, I guess. Okay, those are done. So I'm going to turn the heat off of there. So, now these are ready to mash. And you can mash them with a mixer, a fork, or what have you. I have a potato masher, and I was wanting a potato masher, and I couldn't find one. And my husband was at a flea market, and he found this one for me. So I'm so happy to have it now. So we're going to mash these potatoes, and we're going to get them really good and mashed. We don't want any lumps in here. And they're really hot right now too. I think those are about good. Now this was a very large potato. If you were just making one recipe, you would use a little bit smaller one. So I'm going to divide this potato out. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of divide it out, and I'm going to get me a spoon here. Okay, so now we've made our pinwheels out of potato candy. So I have half of the cooked potato that we're going to do something with now. So I'm going to put this into my mixer. And again, if you don't have a stand mixer, that is not a problem. You can just as easily use a hand mixer, and you could use a spoon, but it will be a little more difficult. You do have to mix and mix and mix. Okay, for the last batch we used vanilla. Now we're going to use peppermint extract because we're making peppermint patties. So I'm going to put a teaspoon, and I think it would help if I opened it first. Yeah, it has a little seal there. I do apologize. Okay. Woo! That's a strong peppermint flavor. Alright, so 1 teaspoon of peppermint extract. And this is clear, so it's not going to add any color. Okay, again, we're going to start by adding half a cup of powdered sugar. And we're just going to mix it. And it's going to seem like you're adding an ungodly amount of powdered sugar, and you are. Don't do it too fast because you don't want to get powdered sugar everywhere. Okay, so when you start mixing it up, it liquefies a little bit. So you got to keep adding it so it will turn into a dough. You want it to be able to roll it into a ball. If it's sticky and tacky, it's not ready. Okay, so we're going to add another half a cup. And you may need to go in there with a spatula and scrape the sides. So I can tell already we're going to need more. I used almost a whole bag of, I did use a whole bag of powdered sugar when I was mixing it for the pinwheels. So I'm going to keep adding and mixing until we get to the consistency that this needs to be so that we can roll these into patties. So we'll be back as soon as this is ready. Okay, our mixer is struggling just a little bit now, so we're going to turn it off and test our dough. It's getting thick. Let's see. But it's still a little sticky. It's sticking to my fingers, so we don't want that. So we need to add just a little more powdered sugar. So let's add just a little more in there and mix it a little bit longer until we get that consistency we're wanting. And I'm locking it down because it is struggling a little bit. So that's when you know it's getting thick, when the mixer is struggling a little bit and you... Okay, let's give it a try. Still not sure. It looks a little wet here. Let's see. Actually, I think that is, okay? Because I can form a little ball. It's a little tacky. You know what? I'm going to add just a tad bit more. And then I think we will be ready. So I'll just add the rest of that in there. And then I'll be right back. Just a little bit more in there. I think this is ready. So let's take this up here. And I've prepared my pan. Let me dry my hands off a little bit. All right, so I've lined a baking dish with some parchment paper. And I'm just going to dust my hands a little bit with some powdered sugar. Just like so. It's okay to get it on this parchment paper. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make little patties. So we're just going to scoop up with a cookie scoop. So they're about the same size. You just roll it into a ball, and then you're going to flatten it out a little bit so it makes a nice little patty. And all we're going to do is just place these in our parchment lined paper, or you can butter it or spray it, however you would like. But just, if you have a cookie scoop, it'll keep it about the same size. So we're going to roll all these out and fill up our pan. Okay. Fortunately, there's not a fast way of doing this. Boy, I can smell this peppermint. And it's okay if they touch. They're not going to stick together. We're not baking these or anything like that. So once I get my pan full, we're going to stick these in the fridge for at least an hour. You can leave them in there overnight. I would cover them up. A little bit more. And then we're going to dip them in chocolate. And this is going to make our peppermint patties. So let me get this pan filled up, and then we'll be right back. Okay, I've got these all rolled out and flattened into patties. No, they're not symmetrically even, but that's okay. It's a homemade candy. So I'm going to put the lids on these, and I'm going to put them in the refrigerator. They need to chill for at least an hour, but you can chill them overnight. if you want to make them one night. But when we get them out of the fridge, we're going to dip them in chocolate. And then we're going to decorate them just a little bit with some peppermint candy. So when we get these out of the fridge, we'll show you how we're going to dip those. Hi there. Okay, I'm dipping these. These have been in the refrigerator for at least an hour. These are the peppermint patties we made with the potato candy, and I've already dipped several of them. I'm just going to show you a few. So you just pick it up out of the pan off of the parchment paper, dip it into the chocolate, and make sure it is thoroughly covered in chocolate. And you can use your 2 forks, or if you have some tongs, you can use that. Just kind of tap it a little bit to get the excess off. And don't worry about the drippage. You can clean all that up later. It is going to kind of get together right here. So you're just going to cover all of your peppermint patties in the chocolate. And I'm going to show you the garnish options we have here. This is a crushed up candy cane, or you could use the crushed up peppermint candies. But you can use a little bit of this. You want to sprinkle before your chocolate hardens too much. That's already kind of hardened. So I would say sprinkle as you go if you want to get these topped. You could also use your festive Christmas colored sprinkles. Okay, so I'm going to finish coating and garnishing all of my peppermint patties. They're going to go back into the fridge for at least another hour. And then once they are dried and confirmed, I am going to plate them up and show you the end result. So I hope to see you back shortly. Shh, I'm sneaking.
Huh? Where'd that go?
Okay, so we have finished dipping our peppermint patties, and this is just a tray of goodies that we've made so far. We have a party at church tonight, and so this is what we're taking. These are the Ritz peanut butter crackers that we dipped. These are the red velvet cookies that we made out of the red velvet cake mix. This is the pinwheels that we made out of a potato. This is the potato candy peanut butter pinwheels out of the potato. And these are the peppermint patties we just made out of the potatoes. So let me give that a good taste. Tastes just like a peppermint patty. I think I would make it a little thinner next time. But yeah, it's great. So I hope you've enjoyed these videos so far. We have a few more coming up for cookies, and then we've got some crafting and things of that nature. So I hope you will come back, and I'm so glad you joined us. So Merry Christmas.